And hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Wartburg and Fusion Entertainment Review. My name is Thomas, aka Mr. Wartburg. A little different episode today because we don't have Fusion, but we do have a friend, so the acronym still works. And that friend is Mr. Christian.
Hello. Hey, everybody. My name's Christian. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for having me, my man. I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. As soon as I saw the Expanse was coming out, I was like, okay, first guest for the show has to be Christian because we're talking about the Expanse.
Yes, thank you. I think you're the only other person I know who watches the show, so thank you for giving me a chance to talk about the show.
Yeah, it was a given. Had to be you, of all people. Because the Expanse fucking rules. And I know we've gotten a few more people to get in on it, and we might be able to get Jen in on it, too. She replied to my tweet to be like, what? This GIF is amazing. I need to watch this show. Like, yes.
I saw that. We can snag her.
It's donkey balls.
We'll get her. We'll get her. I promise.
God, that whole plot point was just super well written. That was awesome. I love this world. It's so cool.
I'm excited.
Before we get into the show, we need to get a little bit more info about our guest, since he's our very first one. So this is going to be a little thing we do when we have guests come on the show. We're going to do a little lightning round, kind of get to know you. About 5 questions. Might change them up between each person. I thought about doing some just random stuff, like Pop-Tarts, warm or cold, stuff like that.
Okay.
But I'm going to stick to pop culture this time. Make change my dog here. Okay. So this is just first thing that pops in your head after I read you the question.
Okay.
So what is the last TV show or movie, not The Expanse or The Mandalorian, that you've watched?
Last TV show or movie that's not The Expanse or Mandalorian. You had to add those qualifiers.
I did.
I've been rewatching Scrubs lately. Yeah. I want another rewatch of that.
That is a good one. I did see that in the Broadcast Bunch Discord channel. Somebody was posting about the podcast where they're like, and we're up to the Brendan Fraser episodes, which were like, well, I don't want to cry. So
not today. Not at the moment. Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Let me get in the mood for it. Yes.
What fictional universe would you most want to live in?
Mass Effect.
Pre or post Reaper invasion?
Pre, obviously.
I'd actually like to see what the post-Reaper invasion would look like. Like, how does that happen? That'd be like, how's that get rebuilt? Because we're getting a Mass Effect 4. Just like...
That's true.
Okay, I want to see what the fuck they do with that.
That's true, teaser,
yeah.
I think that's the biggest question.
They got me in.
Yeah, that was one of those things you're watching and you're like, all right, this looks okay, I guess. Like a cool sci-fi thing. And then they throw a Mass Effect and you're like, oh shit, okay.
Like, you get the bits of the exploded Citadel, and then... the N7 logo and pan up and it's fucking Liara. Like, yes.
Yeah. You're like, oh, okay. Color me intrigued.
So, third question. What is your favorite childhood TV show?
Favorite childhood TV show? SpongeBob SquarePants.
All right, that's definitely one that would be on the list for most people. Personally, for me, it's Batman the Animated Series, but that's just
okay.
Also,
solid
because
pick.
we only had 3 channels when I was growing up, so and Fox and CBS and WB were through the 3. We didn't get ABC until I was like 12. We have an antenna. Farm life.
Yeah. I mean, solid pick though.
Yep. What is the best video game you've ever played?
Best video game I've ever played. Ooh, okay. Best video game. It's not my favorite video game, but one of the best video games I've ever played is Nier Automata.
That seems fitting for you.
I would not say...
yeah.
I would not say it's my favorite, but it is one of the best I've played.
All right. I will say the game looks amazing, and I love the multiple ending stuff that they threw in there. Like, it gets deep.
It's one of those stories that can only be told through a video game, and it's just... it's beautiful.
So, last one. If you were to make one recommendation to someone about a show, that's since this is specific to The Expanse today, and maybe a little Mandalorian in a separate instance for the actual WAFER official number 7 tonight, what would it be?
That's not The Expanse or Mandalorian?
Yeah, if you had to make a recommendation for someone to watch one thing that's not The Expanse or Mandalorian, what would it be?
Honestly, don't judge me for this, but it'd be either Supernatural or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Those are both.
Let me qualify the Supernatural, by the way. I'll say I realize 15 seasons is a lot, so I will say at least the first 5 seasons of Supernatural. That's perfect television right there. Yeah. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is good the entire way through.
Exactly. The Kripke run is Supernatural.
Yeah.
Just It's amazing.
It can't be beat.
No.
It can't be beat.
And I love the story behind it. He just like wrote it over a Christmas break, and then he's like, the network's like, it sucks. And he came back over Easter, and they're like, this is amazing. It's just bizarre.
Yeah, and it was like, all right.
Yeah, he just was like, I have a pitch in like a month. I need to make a show. So he wrote it in like a month. It's fucking crazy. So like for me, mine would be 12 Monkeys, which is very much that kind of
actually the
show,
the sci-fi show or the movie.
The sci-fi show, 4 seasons, maybe the best time travel show ever, and it's 6th landing, which is hard as hell to do in a time travel story.
Really?
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I was crying in the finale. It was amazing.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah,
See,
awesome.
I cry at everything, so I'll probably be shedding a few tears. I've heard that it's very good.
Yeah.
I just haven't seen any of it.
It's definitely one of those sci-fi series where, you can kind of tell the cast was like figuring it out in the early run. Like The Expanse, it's ground running. It's awesome from the episode 1. That's a pretty rare thing in shows. It's awesome, and I love Aaron Stanford, who's the lead in that show. So, because he was a.
Do I need to have seen the movie?
No, it might give you some appreciation for where they go with the like batshit crazy character, because that's Brad Pitt's character in the movie. And they go with a gender bent version, and she's actually like way more a part of the story. Like she is like the story towards the end, which is awesome.
Okay.
Because in the movie, he really doesn't have much to do. So it's a really cool sci-fi premise that's like based on like an old 60s. I think it's a French film where it's like the guy seeing himself die, or maybe it's a novella. I can't remember what it is, but it's like an old French story, and it's really cool.
Okay.
So that'd be my recommendation. So, and of course, I also echo.
I'll write it down.
Supernatural seasons 1 through 5, people.
Seasons 1 through 5. Those first 5 at least.
All right. So speaking of shows that he couldn't name, let's get into The Expanse.
Ooh, baby. So let's do it.
We're going to start with a little bit of a primer, so that way anybody who hasn't experienced The Expanse, that'd be a good name for a podcast. Experiencing The Expanse. Anyway,
honestly, I think we just stumbled onto something.
The alliteration there. Speaking of one of the cast, the guy that plays Amos, Wes something.
Wes Chatham.
He's going to be joined by the writer, one of the 2 writers, Ty Frank, to do a running podcast about the show. Pretty cool.
Oh, really?
I'm going to be listening to that. They mentioned that a couple days ago. I was just browsing the Reddit for podcast ideas. I don't really get on the Expanse Reddit much, mostly because it's very spoiler filled. But I just got in there and I saw that and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So we're going to do a little bit of a primer on The Expanse, kind of the universe, some of the characters, just kind of give you a sense of what the world is. So if it sounds ideal and appealing to you, you can go check it out, and then you can stop watching and not have it spoiled for you. Because we're going to get hard into spoilers in Season 5 so far, after we get through.
It just dropped.
So, Christian.
Yes.
Do you want me to take it? You to take it? How do you want to do this? I should have asked you this before.
I'm the guest on... I'm the guest on your show. You lead the way, my man.
So The Expanse. It is essentially... It's based on a series of books by 2 guys, Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank, under the pseudonym James S.A. Corey. It's going to be 9 books when it's done. They're working on the 9th book right now, which is, I think, the last book. Like Leviathan Falls.
Yes.
The first book is Leviathan Wakes.
Yeah, and I think it's set to release next year, right?
Yeah, next fall is the planned release date.
Next fall, yeah.
So we'll see if everything gets back to normal in the world and we get our, entertainment when we expect it for once, which would be nice. So the books are set about 200-ish years after we start expanding into, actual going to the asteroid belt for mining and starting to actually like go to Mars with some regularity. So it's not quite 200 years from now. Kind of nebulous on like what the year is in the show, I think. In the book, obviously, they actually say, and I'm not going to get into too much of the book because this is about the show. But essentially think 250, 300 years from right now, 2020. That's kind of where like the tech has evolved, how Earth and the governments have evolved. So you've got 3 main factions. You've got Earth, which has now become a unified Earth. Kind of like what you would see in like a Star Trek kind of world where there are real no nations anymore. It's the United Nations. It's one government. Secretary General is elected. They don't really get into the how, but I imagine it's some kind of popular vote through somebody. And so that she basically, or it's a she in later parts of the book, it starts with a guy. But the main hook is one of the female characters who becomes the Secretary General down the line. And Then you've got their own, like, it's a very overpopulated Earth. It's like what they say, like several billion people overpopulated. So there's mass unemployment.
Something like that, yeah.
It's not exactly ideal for anybody who's not upper class.
Yeah, they do a lottery system for employment.
Yeah. And the military is kind of fraying a little bit because it hasn't had a need to make a new technology because they're in the middle of a Cold War with faction number 2, which is the Martians. They have colonized Mars. They're in the middle of a generational terraforming project, and their military is far superior in like quality to Earth, but they don't have the numbers. They don't have as many ships or as many crew and like gunships, etc. They just don't have the resources to go toe to toe with Earth right now, but like they're on the trajectory to surpass Earth. So they're going to win the Cold War if everything stays, equilibrium at the start of the universe. And then faction number 3 is the Belt, which are, people who have been born and raised in the asteroid belt on mining stations, outposts, things like that. And they have vastly different biology compared to Mars and Earth because they are constantly in like half gravity or less. So they're taller, they're thinner, they can't really, withstand gravity even on Mars. Mars has problems getting to Earth, and like actually Martians have problems like being on Earth 1 gravity. Except for like their military where they're trained to deal with it. And then so there are all these factions that are vying for political power. Obviously the Belt is like the downtrodden. They don't have the money. Their resources constantly get taken by Mars and Earth. There's a lot of political tension.
They're equatable. Yeah, they're equatable to a third world country.
Essentially, yeah. And there's lots of different factions. They've got some that are more militant. They're all to some extent fairly militant, but some are like more terroristic. Some are just, we want the Belt to be for the Belt. And they're, constantly warring with each other and as well as pirating ships and whatever, and mostly trying to not piss off Earth and Mars because they don't have the muscle to, face that so far. Obviously, we will meet a character down the road who's like, nah, I got an idea. And it works.
Oh, boy, yeah, we will. Oh,
for
boy.
Very disastrous consequences. But it worked. So not to get into spoilers.
We'll get into it.
Yeah.
We'll get into it.
So that was sort of the main factions. Of course, we've got the crew of the Rocinante. They are, I think that's how you say it. It's the Don Quixote's horse. Yeah. With the reference there. And so I believe so. One's an Earther, one's a Martian. Well, another one's an Earther, and the other is from the Belt. She's like their engineer. She's a genius. She's awesome. And their crew, they kind of stumble into a conspiracy of the private sector on a bunch of different places from around the system, both Belt, Earth, and Mars. And they end up in the possession of a Martian gunship, which is very cool and an awesome ship. And I really want this, like a statue model to go on my stuff. I really want that.
It's so good.
It's so cool.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's just such a cool ship. Like, man, some of the scenes, like, I found some of the high quality GIFs of like the ship like flying and stuff. I'm like, I'm going to put these on Twitter all the time. It's so cool.
There's a move. I've been rewatching it. Sorry to interrupt. I've been rewatching it, and there's this scene. Oh yeah, we can't get into spoilers, but it's in season 3. You might know what I'm talking about, where they do a maneuver to cripple a ship.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah, it's just, and that's the other part. To get into a little bit of the overview, it is what you would call a kind of a grounded hard sci-fi, in that technology works the way we extrapolate it will in a few hundred years. It's not some fantastical, hyperspace stuff. There's no warp speed. There's no phasers or shields. Bullets still get shot. There are railguns, which we have now. There are fusion engines. There are thrusters that control motion. There's no gravity generators. You have to wear mag boots in space. We only generate gravity through, what is it, centripetal or one of the two forces, one of the two C's forces.
Centrifugal, I believe.
Yeah, it's that or centrifugal, which I think is the opposite. That's the one that separates.
Yeah.
You want the one that
one or the other
brings it in. But so that's like
it's one of those two.
What we expect technology to work like. It does. And how they show this in the show is just incredibly cool. The flybys we get of ships, how they shoot the angles of the ships moving, like through space, either in straight lines or in the combat situations, because wars do break out. That Cold War very quickly heats up. Things get hot. And how they show the technology working, the different pieces moving on the board, it's damn near perfect. Like, it's almost
one of the things I've read
about
that show. Oh yeah, one of the things I've read about the show is that it's hailed as being a very, like you said, realistic sci-fi. Like, I'll see comments from people talking about what experts have said, and they've said that yeah, this is a fairly accurate representation of what this might actually look like in the future. Which honestly, to me, makes it so much cooler to be able to watch and to see like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Taking notes. Yeah.
When I've tried like getting people into the show, they're like, oh, like my dad, who's a huge Star Trek. He doesn't really like the show because it moves slower. Well, it does because, well, the technology is. Like, it makes sense and the pacing makes sense if you reframe your brain a little bit. He's just stuck on the, I want to be going at warp 9 all the time. So he's a little weird like that. But I'm slowly working him on stuff. I got him into Mandalorian and he's rewatched it twice. So I'm working on him. I'll get him around.
Okay. Yeah.
So
yeah, whittling down.
Anything else you want to add as a primer on the show?
No, I think you nailed it. I mean, we can talk a little bit about, I guess, so you have the Rossi crew, and then you have what is she, the Secretary of State? Is that
more or less? It's how she starts as kind of like that Secretary of State. She's got hands in a lot of pies. She's clearly very in charge without being in charge kind of character.
Yeah, at least the beginning of the show has... Yeah, the beginning of the show has the Rossi crew, and then it has her, and then it has the detective on Ceres investigating the case of a missing girl. And those are the three primary plot lines that slowly start to weave together, and then the show just kind of evolves from there.
Yeah. And I will say, just like a hat tip to the writers on the show, like just how everything coalesces into either the penultimate episode or the climax of the episode, or climax of the season, is amazing. Few shows do it as well. There are some that are on that level, but that's a rare thing. Like, it all just hits you, and you're like, oh, that's what they were doing, and this is awesome. I love it.
The build-up is always worth it.
Yeah. Like, it's that kind of just, like, fun tension where you're like, I want to know what comes next.
Yeah.
And they just nail it every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to move back to my regular rundown, Doc. I was on the wrong one. So, overview. Okay, so that's kind of like our official no spoilers conversation. Now we're going to get into some of the light spoiler stuff because we're going to talk about our favorite characters and moments over seasons 1 through 4.
Let's do it.
I expect we'll have thoughts. And then we'll get into the full season 5, episodes 1 through 3 spoiler talk. So if that show sounds cool, go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. It's awesome.
Please do.
I can't believe Amazon saved it. Thank you, Jeff Bezos, for just loving the show so much. You're like, fuck it, I don't care how much it costs. Bring it back. Which, like, one of the few times.
Saving it and making it look so much better than it did.
Right? Like, and it never looked good. Bad. And now it looks amazing.
Yeah, but like watching season 5, keeping it vague, I was just like, oh my god, this is the production quality. It's insane.
Like, oh god, when they end up on Earth, I'm like, this is... Compared to where we were just last year, this is stunning.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. You have full, like, aerial shots now.
Oh, that's so cool. So, now that I took up a lot of time there with the primer, what are some of your favorite characters and moments from seasons 1 through 4, Christian?
Okay. So I have a top 5 of favorite characters. So I'll go in ascending order so you can know the number 1 last. So number 4 and 5 are actually pretty tied. I can't decide which one I like more. But number 5 and 4 are Kotyar and Ashford. I forgot about Kotyar. Like I said, I can't... I love Kotyar. Kotyar rules! I can't decide who ranks above who in that list. And then top 3 is set. Number 3 is my wife, Drummer. I'm in love with her. She's the best. And then number 2, Bobby Draper. Can't beat her. And then number one is not only my favorite character in the show, but one of my favorite characters ever. Like, they're such a fascinating character, and I would watch the whole show about them, and that's Amos Burton. Amos Burton cannot be beat. It's not even close for me.
He is that guy, which really makes me want to hit my desk because I was going to introduce you as he's that guy, Christian Young. Damn it. Fuck.
Nah, I can't be compared to Amos. No, not even close. But it's solid reference. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I was trying. And I even wrote it down. I was like, fuck. Man, I'm kind of mad about that. But that's a very good call.
Yeah, favorite moment. That guy. I think that's the best moment of the show. That guy.
That whole thing, like, you're not that guy. And then when he turns around, I'm that guy. Oh, holy shit.
You know it's coming.
Yeah.
Like, the second the door shuts, you're like, ooh.
Like, how they're shooting, like, the over the shoulder
around.
from the bad guy's perspective. You're like, oh, it's going down.
And the music kicks in and gets real intense. And then just the slow turn, you're like, ooh, he's gonna... Like, you know exactly what he's gonna say. And it's still fucking awesome when he says it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's...
To piggyback off that, one of my favorite Amos moments is actually the season 4 finale. The very, like, last scene with Amos. Gets his hand shut off.
Oh, yeah.
Parts of his hand shut off, and he regrows it, right? Because they have some really cool medical technology that, again, more or less kind of makes sense. It's kind of like an auto dock in the Fallout universe, but also, like, with some real-world application of, like, yeah, we can regrow fingers and stuff. You know, like, a couple hundred years from now, I expect we'll be able to do that. So... Yeah. But he regrows that hand and parts. I think he got shot in the leg too, and he goes to meet the guy they captured and arrested for totally being like first class asshole and murdering a bunch of people. And he's like, "I see you're all healed up," and he's like, "Good," because I didn't want to hit a cripple. And then so he like the bad guy pops Amos in the face, and he just turns around, bloody smile, "Thank you," wham, cut to black. It was awesome.
Yeah, bloody smile and crazy eyes.
Yeah, the crazy eyes. Thank you.
Wide. Yeah.
I was looking for a GIF of that. I can't find a high quality one. I'm gonna have to make one. It's like, damn.
Yeah, be the change you want to see in the world, my man.
Exactly. It was such a cool moment, and there's so many awesome ones. For me, my favorite characters. I mean, Holden's kind. I mean, he's the lead, so it's kind of hard to say he's one of my favorites. But if I had to go 5, I had to go 5 characters, just to match the list, make it symmetrical. I mean, I'll go descending. Amos is Amos. He's number 1. I really like where they've taken... I know you're not a huge fan, so she'll be later on my list. That's a person I know you're not such a huge fan of. I actually got to say Naomi's probably number 2. Just because...
Really?
Where they take her Belter's story, and, like, that's really cool, like, getting that perspective so it's not all the Earth guy, you know? We barely even really get the perspective of the Martian guy. And so we get a lot of perspective and backstory for this Belter character when the rest of the Belter stuff is so important, and they actually carry that through one of the main characters, which is really fun. Doesn't hurt she's the, love interest, like basically the secondary lead to Holden of the Rossi crew. Character. But she's awesome. My third... Yeah, now that you mentioned Kotiar, I gotta say he's up there, because, man,
It's Kotiar, man.
When season 2, he pops in, right? She needs a spy.
It's either the beginning of season 2 or the end of season 1. I think it's beginning of season 2.
As soon as he pops in, just constantly giving no fucks about Avasarala, just constantly cutting in with great lines.
Just taking none of her bullshit. Yeah. It's the best.
And how he goes out, boss as fuck. So great.
I cry.
So great. 4 is a tough call. I would probably go Avasarala, which I know you're not a huge fan of.
Okay, I am not.
Partly for me, she'd be higher, but also but she's only at 4 because in season 4 specifically, they changed why they were writing her character the way they were. They didn't really change her tone or how she spoke, but just like why we didn't need her at all in season 4. Up until the end,
I'd agree with that.
Really didn't need her. All her story could have been on screen in the background in like 2 episodes. Because it's the election
100%
story.
Agree.
Which is nowhere near as interesting as the political intrigue in seasons 1, 2, and 3, with the military intrigue and the war stuff where she's working behind the scenes. That's cool as hell. Yeah. We didn't need to see her be Secretary General. So they
100% agree.
Yeah, they kind of were like, oh, we need her to be quippy and one-liner, when it's like, no, she was that, and also really cool doing the, political subterfuge stuff. They kind of cut that part. Just to focus on that, which is like, okay. It's one of the few characters I think they haven't consistently written for. Of the regulars. Agree with that.
I would say that whole storyline is probably the worst part of season 4. Yeah. Because, like you said, it felt like it was there because Avasarala is a main character, and so they needed something for her to do.
Exactly. Which is never what you want to do with a show. Like,
no, you never want to get that vibe.
One of my favorite shows, and Fusion's going to probably roll his eyes if he watches this because I talk about it all the time, and that's Legends of Tomorrow. It's a cheesy, schlocky, bullshit superhero show. But I have never once said, oh, the characters would never do that. Never once in 6 seasons. Or 5, maybe. I think it's 5. So, like, that's writing your characters really, really well, regardless of their plots just being totally fucking nonsensical. It's crazy. But I never say, oh, that character would never do that. Right? Whereas, or why, like, this character didn't need to be here. Or she's the one character, I'm like, God, she's awesome. But why is she here? Could have just noped out for a season and came back. And we wouldn't have really lost much.
Absolutely. We would have lost nothing.
Yeah, like, we only needed to get the setup that she lost and was no longer Secretary General, so that way the season 5 story could happen. But you could have done that with, like, the news stories in the background that they use all the time as, like, framing devices and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, we did this.
Have the Rossi crew talk about it or something.
Yeah. Or her have a final message on her way out, you know, sending a message to Holden. You know, that would have been fine, and we wouldn't have really lost anything. 5 for me is Bobby Draper, because Bobby Draper's badass. And it's a tie with Drummer, because Drummer's also badass.
Bobby rules.
But they haven't always gotten equal time to how awesome they are. Yeah, like, they're both awesome, and I'm so glad we've gotten more Drummer so far. Holy shit, I was not expecting it, because they have drastically changed her role from the books. Like, she's totally
That's what
not
I hear.
the character.
I hear that she is... I hear she's a very minor character in the books, and they've kind of, like, aggregated a bunch of other characters, or absorbed a bunch of other characters into her character. Yeah. So she has a bigger role in the show, which I'm all about. I love her. Yeah. Speaking of favorite moments, one of my favorite moments is a Drummer moment. It's the... Are we still keeping it vague?
I think at this point...
It's from season 2. Yeah,
we'll get into a few plot points from the early seasons, but nothing that spoils the overarching plot. You can get into moment spoilers, so that's fine.
Okay, one of my favorite moments of the show is the Drummer moment in season 2 when the Belters try to take Tycho from her and Fred. And they gas the room and knock everybody out, and she walks out and just shoots the 2 guys who attacked her. Yeah. And then just walks out herself.
Yeah, like with a bullet wound in her stomach.
Yeah, just completely is like, fuck off, Alex, I don't need you to help carry me. I'm gonna walk out of here on my own damn self. Yeah.
And another piggyback, the season 3, when she's like, basically she's been paralyzed. She's been pinned up against something for like a whole episode. Her body's like wrecked. Bolts herself on a pair of fucking like powerlifting legs and just gets up and is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go help win the day. She's awesome.
Yeah. Drummer rules. She's the best.
Yeah, great. And like, listen, and like, it's so crazy. Her accent is just nuts. Like, it's awesome. It's perfect. And she totally is just a completely different person. Like, listening to her speak, I'm like, whoa, I was listening to an interview, I was like, whoa, that's Drummer? Holy shit. That's crazy.
I actually haven't heard her speak in real life.
Yeah, I mean, she's Canadian. And I believe she's a Canadian Native American. Is her, like...
Okay. I can, yeah.
And, she's just really soft, light-spoken, you know, really more of a higher-pitched voice, and her Belter accent is so wildly different from just her normal speaking voice. It's nuts.
That's how I felt about Ashford.
Yeah.
Because Ashford has that... He has such that also very good Belter accent, and then I heard him in an interview, and I was like, oh, he sounds absolutely nothing like that.
I love the guy they brought in to do that. David Strathairn? Can't remember how to say his last name.
I have no idea how to... I know how to spell his last name. Don't know how to say it. Yeah.
He's been in he was the lead in Alphas, which was a Killed Before Its Time show. It's like, that one hurt.
That show was good, man.
Yeah,
I liked that show.
He was also, for popular audience, he was in the first 2 of the recent Godzilla movies. I don't know if he'll be on the 3rd one. He's just a bit player. He's a military guy. But he's one of my favorite character actors. He's in a lot of cool sci-fi stuff. And he's a great character for 2 seasons in this show. I don't want to spoil what happens to him, but it's pretty baller. Let's just say,
5. He's top 5.
He's right up there with me. There's a lot of characters that are very much... There's very few that I'm like, I don't like you. And if I don't like you, it's for
honestly,
a good reason.
Honestly, for me, asking you to pick a favorite is harder. I would rather just pick the characters I don't like, because I can only think of 2 off the top of my head. I'm not a fan of Avasarala, like you said. I'm also not a fan of Naomi. Okay. she like, I go back and forth on Naomi. She has really, really good moments sometimes where I do absolutely love her, and then other times she's very overbearing and self-righteous to me, to the point of being an actual like detriment to watching the show for me. Like there's some scenes where I'm trying to think how to phrase it while still keeping it kind of vague.
For me, it's one of the things that really sets her apart from the rest of the crew was there's certain technology, let's say, that she gives to the belt that the rest of the crew was like, we were going to destroy that shit, and she doesn't. And that's one of the reasons I like her characters, because they're willing to do those things with her from like that's such a unique perspective in the world compared to Mars and Earth and everybody else in the crew.
See, that was one of the reasons I dislike her, is because, like you said, the whole crew made this plan and then she went and ignored it. Like, I get what she was saying about needing to help the belt and elevate the belt to be on equal footing with Earth and Mars, but part of that storyline, the Martian character, Alex, he reminds her that he wanted to give it to Mars because he felt the exact same way that she did, but when he was voted down and told no, he accepted that, whereas she didn't. Yeah.
I guess it's more of a case of I like how they wrote her. Maybe not so much liking her as a person. I just like that they were willing to go there for the story, which was, I guess, maybe a little different perspective. But hey, that's why we talk about stuff on podcasts. Different perspectives.
It's true. Yeah. I get that. That's fair.
All right. So anything else we want to get into before we talk about season 5 and the things that happened?
I have a question. What's your ranking from worst to best season?
Oof.
Because I have an answer for that one.
I think the first one's the worst because it takes so long for Miller's side to get anywhere. Like it takes a while. He's a great character. I like some of the detective stuff that comes into play with like his like kind of like people that he's friends with in his like department and stuff. But they never picked those threads back up in the later seasons, so they were pointless. And then it takes him 7 episodes to meet the crew, I think. Maybe 8. It's like before the end when he's there.
They meet in episode 8, I want to say.
Yeah, because it's right when everybody gets to Arrows is when they all finally meet.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Yeah. It does. So it's a slow
one of the reasons I would rank it lower. But I appreciate where they end up in the finale, and they ratchet and immediately jump into it in season 2, which is really cool. And then I'd probably go. Shit, I gotta remember which finale is what. I think 4 probably is next on my list, and then 2 and 3 are neck and neck. Because like the political intrigue, the technology stuff, the proto-molecule stuff, God, it's cool. And they just consistent episode to episode. 100%. Holy shit, this is awesome. And then season 4 slows down a little bit. It's still awesome. All of them are great. If I had to put them on a spectrum, that's where I'd be.
Okay. Fair answers.
What about you?
I'm pretty similar, actually. I would say season 4 is the worst because, like you said, it slows down a little bit. And I think I was spoiled by seasons 2 and 3 because seasons 2 and 3 just move at such a breakneck pace where like episode, 5 of season 2 feels like a season finale. And like episode 6 of season 3, it feels like a season finale. They feel there's just so much crammed in. It's just nonstop. You're just like, oh my God, this is insane. So in season 4, when it pumps the brakes a little bit more, I couldn't help but be disappointed. Like I get it. Like it's not. It's unfair to expect that kind of pacing from the show throughout its run, but it was still just like, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot. But also with season 4, I didn't like any of the new characters. I liked Mercury, and that was it.
Yeah, he was a good bad guy. That's great casting.
He was great. Yeah, I think that was mainly because of the actor. The actor was so good. Mm-hmm. But didn't care about any of the Earth stuff. I thought the Bobby stuff was
was rough.
Weak. Yeah, the Illis stuff was the best part of the show, or best part of the season. But even then, that still just took a while. And like I said, I didn't like any of the new characters. The Belter, mom on the Rossi with them. I didn't like the doctor.
I actually like the doctor if she continues to come back.
Say again?
If she continues to come back, like they actually pick up that thread if she's investigating this other alien technology. I'm hoping we see a little more of her as like her actually being interested in that. I was like, no, you're literally talking to an alien race and you want the shit out of your head?
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude. Love that part.
Especially after she spent so much time talking to Holden, like, oh, this sounds so awesome. Like, I'm so jealous of you, yada, yada. And then she gets it and she's like, fuck that. This sucks. Yeah. It's like, well,
yeah. I think, but I just like her. That's just me. But I'm curious if we'll re-rank them like when the show's done, kind of like how we look at Supernatural and like, hey, the 1 through 5 is great, you know, like, and then there's like the Carver years and like that Sarah, can't remember her, Sarah Gamble years, and like there's like it kind of gets broken down into arcs. I'm curious if the Expanse will as well, because seasons 1, 2, and 3 are kind of this one story. And then that story conclusions, and we pick up in season 4 with a new chapter, or maybe a new book altogether, really. Because it's, again, an adaptation of the book, so it kind of lends itself to that, structure-wise. And then 5 and 6 are the last 2 seasons. Like, we're done next season. So, because it doesn't sound like they're going to really take on a couple of the books after a certain thing happens in the books. A huge time jump, which I don't blame them for being like, you know, we got human beings acting in this show. We're not going to do that.
We'll just put it on hiatus for 20 or 30 years. We'll pick it back up in the next
happen.
couple decades. Yeah.
And I have faith they'll find a fitting conclusion point, especially given the plot points that were introduced.
Yeah, I've seen vague comments saying that, those first 3 seasons are kind of a story, and then seasons 4 through 6 are kind of a story. And from people who've read the books, they've named, I don't know what it is. I haven't read the actual specifics, but they've said there is what should be a pretty good stopping point for where season 6 could possibly end. So I'm not too worried. I think the show's going to stick the landing. Yeah. So real quick, season 4, 1, 2, and 3. I think 3 is the best of this show.
Oh, three's phenomenal. Like the ending.
3's insane.
I mean, it's got the that guy moment. So yeah, I'm in. It's awesome. It's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, one of the coolest moments I've ever had watching a show. Like that was straight up with I was watching Daredevil with my buddy Joey, and when the assassin like face plants himself on a steel rod to not name Fisk, it was that kind of moment of like, oh shit, we're watching something fucking
that's
awesome.
What's happening.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was one of those kind of moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now we're gonna move into some full spoilers for season 5. So again, if you've gotten in on these light spoilers and you're like, yo, this is cool, I'm gonna go watch the show, now's your time to bounce.
Please do. Okay, go watch it, come back, listen to the season 5 talk. We'll be here.
Oh, heck yeah. So season 5, much like The Boys, is breaking in, going to do a weekly release, but starts with 3 episodes. And how they paced these first 3 episodes, for me, were incredible. Like, it's basically 3 prologue episodes before the action happens, and then we're going to get weekly action from here on out. Which I'm all for. After 4 seasons, like, not just slowing it down, but, like, getting each character on their own for extended periods of time, which has never happened in the show's history, is really cool. So we have the 3 episodes where Exodus was the initial episode, Churn was the second episode, and Mother is the 3rd episode. So, Christian, you're coming in a little hotter on the show than me because you probably literally just watched episodes 2 and 3.
I did. I watched episode 1. I watched 1 last night, and then I watched 2 and 3 like an hour before we started recording, so I could come in fresh. I would agree. I was actually going to say I didn't like the pacing because, like I said, I'm still spoiled by seasons 2 and 3 of just moving at a breakneck speed. But you phrasing it like it's the prologue, I could definitely agree with that. It feels like from here on out, it's just going to be nonstop. Like everything has been set up to where shit's about to hit the fan in every storyline. Yep. I'm all about it. And yeah, it was very interesting to see everybody on their own. Especially the Rossi crew. Like everyone has their own individual story that they're a part of, and that's the first time that whole crew's been a part in the entire show. Yeah, like the closest you had was when Naomi left for a little bit in season 3. Yeah, and
even then she was with regular characters we'd seen. Like this is the most kind of disparate they've been since the pilot, and like they were very different people now. So like kind of taking that breath to be like, oh, these are where they're at in their lives. This is the state of the world as well. Because again, much like we said, it's a kind of a new book, so the world is totally different. They have the ring gates. They're now sending ships through, kind of a future plot point for down the road, which I like how they set those up in the background. And like it's just really fascinating, especially to get to Earth. Again, that's the cool stuff is, well, we got to see Baltimore. We got to follow Amos on his own in the world, away from the Rossi crew. It's like
we finally see Baltimore.
Yeah, like I was tempted in your guys' Discord channel to do a running play-by-play of like 15 minutes in, Amos has been Amos. It's awesome. Like the story with the
I would have welcomed it.
The breathing in the stuff, and he's like, "So how much damage you think I could do to you before the knockout gas gets me?" Like, fuck. Yep. He's so badass.
That's my boy.
So badass.
And you see the dude visibly just go, oh shit. Maybe we shouldn't do anything to this guy.
Yeah. And then I was a little disappointed with the shower fight scene because it's kind of more cutty than they've usually done.
Yeah, it was hard to follow. Yeah.
But I get that they just kind of be like, you know what? We know Amos kicks ass, so fuck it. You've seen it already. We'll just get to him spitting out blood in the shower and like viscous out of his mouth like he's bitten somebody's ear off. That was nuts.
Yeah. Like, I get why they did it.
Yeah. For me, I have a little what we liked. So, I don't know if you wanted to go first. Like, specific, like, I have like a whole paragraph written out, but I don't know if you want to get that in depth.
I can, yeah. We can go storyline by storyline. I think, obviously, I'm biased, but I think Amos is the best part of the season. Like, finally getting to see his backstory, and then I liked the reveal of the flashbacks. Yeah, they were very minimal and well done. Yeah. With the boy standing by the door with the gun. 100% thought that was like him just seeing something. I was like, oh, that's kids like me or like what I used to be. And then the reveal, like, oh shit, that literally is him or who he used to be. Mm-hmm. And then he has that moment talking to, what was his name? Charles? Yeah, the old man. Lydia's husband? Yeah, the old man. Where you see Amos visibly like try to comfort someone. Yeah. Which was so weird, but like in a good way. I loved it. Yeah. Where like he sees that, he actually did care about Lydia, and like Lydia meant so much to him that he's like trying to actually emotionally connect he's trying to be somebody. A human being. Yeah, it was great. And then Bobby stuff, I feel like it was off to a good start, and then Alex showed up, and I was like, well, okay. I literally had that written down. Yep. Oh, really? It was like Bobby was onto something, and then Alex showed up, and it was just like, all right, let's just hang out for a little bit. Let's watch Alex go on a date, I guess. That was so weird. I don't care about this. And then I'm super down for everything on Tycho, all the proto-molecule stuff. Oh my god, I forgot the fact that they finally picked up on Cortazar makes me so fucking happy. I'm sorry I'm banging my table. You can hear it in the audio. But that was back in season 2 where he left? Yeah, with the proto-molecule research, yeah. Yeah, where they kidnapped him and we finally see him again. Like, oh my god, that made me so happy. Yeah. I had faith because the show is very good at not dropping plot lines for the most part. But to see it finally come back was just like, yes. And then Luna's interesting. I'm not sold one way or the other. I think by the end of 3, I'm in. I'm completely in on everything. And I thought the end of 3 is where the season was going to pick up immediately, because that's how season 4 ended. Yeah. With the rocks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, like my thoughts, storyline by storyline. Oh, we didn't mention more drummer. Yes. Yeah. She's awesome. And like very curious to see what they're gonna do with her. Yeah, like I have some suspicions, and I don't know if I wrote them in my doc, but I'll get into them in a little bit when we get to the what do we think's happening next bit. So drummer's now a pirate. She's a belter pirate. She's got her crew, but she's still chasing the ghost of Ashford, who died in the season 4 finale. Went out like a boss. Got caught, absolutely. But like, God, that was a cool sequence where they're like infiltrating the ship and like fighting in 0G in the suits. God, that was cool.
Always love that about this show.
Oh yeah.
And she finds his message and sends it on, and so we're picking up that people know now. Like people are starting to figure it out, and then bam, the hammer drops, and we see it. We see the that happens. So the other stuff. Let's see. We've got Bobby finally went somewhere. I was like, God, if we could have seen her be more of an investigative role a little earlier into season 4, and start to put the pieces together towards the finale of season 4, that'd have been cool. Took her a while, but she's finally getting somewhere, and then Alex shows up, and I literally wrote, Alex thus far seems to be the character that doesn't fit. Just when Bobby's story is picking up, Alex crashes the party and just puts the brakes on. Like, that's literally what I wrote.
Yeah.
Which, I get why they did it, because his story is how they're setting up season 6. Like, that Admiral talking about the ring space, that's season 6. Gotta be.
Yeah.
Like, that's...
Absolutely.
Definitely.
That's foreshadowing if I've ever seen it.
A little too ham-fisted for this show, but I appreciate why they needed to do it, because, shit's going to get real crazy real damn fast. So you got to set those up early. You got to plant that seed and move on. Didn't need the date scene to do that, though. That was weird as fuck.
The date scene, man. That was so out of place. It was like, it'd have been one thing. It'd have been one thing if Alex treated it like what it was supposed to be, which was a fact-finding mission, because he comes back to Mars to go try to reconnect with his ex-wife, and then an episode later is like, hey baby, how you doing? It just felt so out of place.
So weird. And like the whole reconnect with the wife thing, it's like, well, I thought he made peace with that like 2 seasons ago, you know?
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I had the same thought, and I was like, I guess I just misremembering things.
They had the conversation where she was like, we're done. You can talk to him. I don't care. But you and I are done. You know?
And then didn't they have a scene in one of the past seasons where the son messages and says like, oh yeah, mom doesn't like you, but I still love you, dad. I want you to be a part of my life. But then he has the call with him in the bar where the son very clearly doesn't really want to talk to him. So it feels like those two or they're just completely separate incidents. Like, I don't know how we got from there to here again.
One of the few stumbles.
I would say preliminary thoughts on Alex is that he's giving me season 4 of Astrala vibes, and that they were just like, Alex has to be somewhere, put him over here.
Yep. Yeah. And if he would have actually been Bobby's backup, that'd have been cool. Because Bobby should be the lead on this story. Absolutely. We got the power suit. It's sitting right there. Put Bobby in the suit and let's go. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Chekhov's power suit. I'm so excited.
Right? As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh shit, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. It's coming.
Because man, that's her season 2 suit stuff. Oh, fuck, that was cool. God, that was some cool shit. We could do Halo well if we wanted to.
Oh yeah.
They got the power suits, man. They look awesome.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Other stuff, the Holden stuff on Tycho with Fred Johnson. Interesting, but like it's nothing we really haven't seen before, but I did like the setting up the other alien technology. Like, hey, these guys killed all these people. Like, they killed an entire race, and we're pissing them off, right? And it also had one of my favorite moments of the whole 3 run was he's like, there was something blinking, and I pushed it. And Fred just looks and goes, you do live your life like that, huh? It made me laugh out loud. Like, yes, that basically sums up the show. James Holden sees
that's James Holden.
Pushes it. That's what he does. And it's great.
And it somehow works out for him.
Yep, every time. I like the Avasarala stuff because we're getting back into the season 1 and 2 version of Avasarala, where she's working behind the scenes, isn't on the run or trying to like take power or anything. She knows she's right and has to prove her point. And her line of I burned all the bridges behind me and all the ones in front of me, and I don't give a fuck. Like, that's a good line. But I really wish we wouldn't have seen you for a while so that line can really hit. But it was pretty cool, and I really like the actress. She's awesome. She's also in Mass Effect as Admiral. Which Admiral is she in? Of the Quarries.
I don't remember her name.
And she's an Admiral in Star Trek.
But she's Tally's... Oh, yeah?
She's in a lot of sci-fi stuff.
Okay, yeah, I just remember
she's in Star Trek Beyond.
I just remember she's Tally's aunt.
Yeah. Yeah, what was I gonna... I just lost my train of thought. Oh, and the Naomi stuff. So she's off trying to find her son. Which is very interesting where they leave her going into the end of episode 3 because she got kidnapped. Like,
that's true.
Weird. Now, I did appreciate the son's reaction, which is very much like, well, yeah, she did fucking leave you. You know?
Yeah.
You know? So,
also, shout out to the casting, because the actor that got to play Philip looks like the son of the actress for Naomi and the actor for Marco. He looks like their actual child. That is impressive.
Yeah, like they nailed it. And I actually appreciate we didn't get much Marco. That's one of the things I really liked about this. All his stuff is like bookend scenes of opening episodes or closing of episodes. Whether it's his crew in the premiere taking down a ship, or the end of an episode where he's watching all the asteroids line up. Like, just in the background, like, lit by the LEDs or by the hologram, right? Like, that's just imposing without being, you know, like, overdoing it. Because I know from one of my friends, for him reading the books, he's like, God, he's just a tough character to, like, stomach. Because he's that kind of zealous, you know, asshole that is just overbearing all the time because that's his shtick. And I appreciate that he wasn't so in our face right away. And that we're going to leave that to where I think they're going to take him versus like a Holden, who's been kind of set up as like the paragon of the belt, where, you know, he's the hero, right? And then we've got our zealous bad guy who's also kind of a hero to a big portion of the belt, and then they're going to collide, which is going to be pretty cool to see. I like that. I think they're setting up that to be a running theme between those two, especially with Naomi in the middle.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Anything else I had on what I liked? Oh yeah, more drummer, more Amos equals good time. I'm in for the whole season, if that's what we get. That's what I had.
Good way to sum it up.
Yep. Yeah, and again, to go back to the Baltimore stuff with Amos, like, for me, we only got like 3 or 4 different flashbacks, and some of them were like just as he's walking by, not separate scenes of him. Really only 2 really flashing back to his time as a kid where he's speaking one-on-one with his like maternal figure, Lydia. And that one of them was towards the end, which was really impactful when he just tells the kids no. And he just stands up and they're like, nope, I'm out. I'm fucking done.
Yep.
And then the ship takes off in the background, which is really cool. Like, that was really cool. Like, watch the shuttles leave. And it's like, yeah, that'd be cool to watch that shit. You know? So, I really liked where they did. I like the slow pace because when it happens, to not make a pun, but purposely to make a pun, holy mackerel. Because the guy's looking at mackerel when he, had to put it in there.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, like the effect of that. Like, I went and rewatched it. You can see his skin come off first in the shot.
Can you?
The guy
really?
who's dying. You can like see it flake off, and like it's literally frame by frame, and it's incredibly detailed. I'm like, they're gonna go hard on this asteroid storyline, aren't they? Like, they're leaning into, here's the world, it's awesome, it's amazing, these cool characters, they're awesome, we're gonna blow it all up.
Yeah,
like, they're going
is
hard.
hitting the fan. Yeah.
So, anything else before we get into the where we think we're going, anything else we didn't or did like?
I will say I forgot to touch on the Naomi storyline. I appreciate the fact that she's came face to face with Philip so quickly. I thought they were going to drag that out for the whole season. Yeah, so I'm very curious what's going to happen there.
And then, so like to piggyback onto that, where I think that's going to go, my take, and I'm kind of spoiled because I basically perfectly called for beat for beat Mandalorian. I'm kind of mad at myself for that. I spoiled myself just nailing everything but the ship. That's the only thing I missed. Called everything else. So where I think that's going to go, not to like toot my own horn, I think he's going to realize, oh, my dad is that much of an asshole because he's torturing her. Help her escape and then bounce before the finale. Like, he's done before the finale. So, like, really set up his dad as like, oh, you really are that asshole, huh? And he's going to bounce.
Okay. I can see that.
That's where I think that's going. And then the Holden side is, because he got that, he's the hero in the bar scene. We're going to have some, like, belters, like, turn on Marcos. Because, well, you're going up against James Holden. I can't fight James Holden, you know? So that's where I think that's going. But anything that first blush you see off these first 3 episodes, you're like, I bet that's coming next, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard them. Sorry, Discord's being weird for me. What are you excited to see down the road? What do you expect to see happen?
Honestly, everything Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Everything Earth / Luna, I'm actually now very invested in. And then, yeah, I like what you said about seeing the lines get drawn between Marco and Holden. Because, yeah, I think it's going to become, I don't want to say civil war, but like basically a war where people are going to rally behind Holden and people are going to rally behind Marco. And we're going to start to see that division in the belt. And you can maybe see, I feel like they might try to make some points about how Holden is an Earther, but still is held in such high regard in the belt. And I feel like that might help kind of destroy Marco's message about belt needing to be for the belt. I think that might be like the biggest overarching plot line that I'm interested in seeing how they handle that.
Yeah, like for me, of course, Amos is the only one on Earth, right, of the main cast so far.
Yeah.
Like seeing how he navigates this broken world, because it ain't just one asteroid, people. There was at least 6 that I saw on that, like on the map.
There's multiple.
Like, it's going to get bad. And
another thing. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, go for it.
Clarissa's coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen her in the season 5 artwork?
Yeah, I figured that's who he was meaning when he's like, I need your help to arrange a meeting with this person. Because obviously she's in high security prison.
Oh, duh. Yeah, duh.
Yeah.
Yeah, obvious. Never mind.
Oh, it's fine. Like, but yeah, that's where I literally have it.
Yeah.
Amos is going to meet Clarissa Mao and somehow escape Earth with her. How long does that take? Like, I'm curious to see like where they go, because obviously it's probably not in Baltimore. Are we going to see other cities? Like, that's going to be really cool to watch, like the Earth side of that story.
Yeah, because he was about to leave, and now that Earth is getting fucked, I wonder how much that's going to slow him down from trying to get back with the crew. Yeah. Like, do you think he's going to be on Earth for the rest of the season?
I don't know. Like, I got to imagine he's going to be back on the Rossi before the final showdown with Marco. Like, I don't, and like
I can see that.
Like, to get back in, like, to the Naomi thing, I don't know if she's back before the end of the season. Like, I think that might be the end, is them rescuing her. I don't know. That's going to be an interesting side to watch. Like, maybe that's how Drummer gets in. She's the Rossi's like engineer, to go rescue Naomi.
Oh,
like
maybe, yeah.
That'd be really fascinating, because she's never really interacted much beyond calling Holden a crazy person, because he totally was a crazy person talking to fucking nobody in season 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
The whole bit when she's talking to Naomi, like, yeah, you went off and fell in love with a guy who's fucking crazy. Like. That was great. I love her relationship with Naomi. Like, that was really well done. And so I imagine she's gonna come back in once she finds out that she's been taken.
I can see that.
Because she gave the "It's not my fight" speech, which means it's your fight. You're gonna be in this.
It's gonna become her fight. Yeah,
and she's such a fan favorite. You can't just fuck her off into nowhere, right?
Yeah.
So, other bits for me, like again with the Earth stuff, like what happens to the UN, right? Like, is all the leadership on Earth? Like, I have to imagine Abasrala's and that admiral guy. I like that actor too. He's awesome. They're probably gonna both have more prominent roles, because they got shipped off to the ass end of nowhere. But they're the only people in power,
Yeah.
So
like, did the UN get hit?
I don't know. Like, I'm curious to see where they go with that, because they're clearly setting up that tension of you're not in power anymore, and then this crisis hits. And if, like, the Secretary General's and all the staff is gone, well, who do you turn to? Well, how about the lady that was Secretary General 3 months ago? More or less. And who's done the job in crisis before. So I could see that happening. Yeah, I'm curious if we'll get any more. I haven't seen anything that, I'm hating myself for not knowing his name. I know it. Dawes.
Oh, yeah, Anderson Dawes.
Who plays him? God, I know it.
Oh, I don't remember off the top of my head.
He's Jared Harris, I think. Anderson.
That sounds right.
Jared Harris, yeah. I kind of hate that they cast such a big name for him, because he's a busy dude. He's in a lot of stuff. And he's also in a lot of sci-fi stuff too, which I really like how all that. All your sci-fi actors have been in shows together, which is awesome. I love that part of sci-fi stuff.
It's a small community.
When you see different like people show up from like Battlestar to like the 100 or to all these different sci-fi shows, it's really fun to watch. But the fact that they cast such a big dude means he can't come back because he's just busy logistically, which kind of sucks. Yeah. I'm curious if he shows up because he's involved in that proto-molecule research stuff. Every scene we've got with him.
I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Yeah.
I imagine we're going to have to find the mystery of who stole their stuff. Like who took their people, their research. That's going to be part of the mystery. And then we've also got the mystery of, or the conflict of taking down Marcos. I'm curious how and when those particular points get resolved. Is one sooner than the other? Like, how does the Rossi crew get back together? That's going to be one of the most fascinating parts of the show. And then when does Bobby get in the suit? That's what I want to know.
She does. She's in the suit in the trailer. She's doing something in the suit, and I'm fucking pumped.
Yeah,
she's gonna be great. Like I said, Chekhov's suit. Chekhov's power armor.
It's happening. Where's my phone? Oh, that's a spam call. Gotta love those.
Oh boy. Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, they're great. So yeah, that's mostly where we're at on season 5 so far. We've been going for just about an hour, which I think I nailed the time on this one.
Perfect.
So anything else you want to add on The Expanse?
It is one of my favorite shows on air right now. Possibly one of my favorite shows of all time. We'll see how it sticks the landing, and absolutely everybody needs to go watch it. I will ride or die for this show till the day I die. Until they pull a Game of Thrones and just totally fuck the finale. No, don't you dare. Don't you dare speak that into existence. Knocking on my desk there. Unless that happens, it's going to go down as one of, if not the best, consistent sci-fi. Like, it could. It very well could. There's Battlestar. Their finale sucked compared to the rest of the show. Mm-hmm. It was not terrible, but it was not on the level of the rest of the show. So if The Expanse can just meet its like average in the finale, it's awesome. Like all the way through. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So definitely go watch this show. So we're going to do a little bit of a separate recording for the actual WAFER full episode where we're going to talk to Mandalorian, some tech news, things like that with Fusion when he can actually join us. Or join me, I guess, because Christian will be gone by then for a full episode. So you should definitely follow Christian. You can see his Twitter. It's like right there. I'm pointing on my screen. But this is also on audio now. I forgot to mention we're on all the podcast services now. We're on Spotify and iTunes and Google Podcasts and Amazon stuff and Pandora and iHeartRadio and a whole bunch of places. We're on it all. You should go subscribe there. Hell yeah. Congratulations. Yeah. And of course, subscribe on YouTube if you're watching the video version, which is what I'm going to promote probably most heavily. Because otherwise, why'd I buy the camera? And then definitely follow Christian. Follow the channel. I'm at MrWartburg. Fusion is at It's Mr. Fusion. All the links will be below to the things. And then go watch The Expanse because it's a great fucking show. Yes, go watch The Expanse. It's incredible. Just stop whatever you're doing. Go watch it. Make it your holiday plan. Go watch The Expanse. That's true. That's true. Yeah, perfect time. Binge it all. All right, so I think that's going to wrap it up for this mini wafer light, whatever I want to call this one topic series. So thank you for watching. Christian, thank you for joining me. Thank you so much for having me, my man. Like I said, thank you for letting me just talk about The Expanse for an hour. Exactly. Like, that's just what it's all about. Talking about cool shit with people that are cool like yourself and having a good time. Oh, thank you. So I hope, since this is technically like a goodbye, even though you're going to stick around, have a happy holidays. You too. And to anyone watching as well, because it's like December, it's the 18th when we're recording this. I forgot what date it was. It is. And have a good rest of your day, evening, weekend, time, whenever you're watching this or listening. I need to remember, beautiful people. There's an audio version. I remember that. Okay. I'll get used to it. It'll be fine. Bye. Goodbye.